building your self-confidence and overcoming life's challenges and obstacles. And so this is my granddaughter, Riley. She's 8 years old. One of our favorite things to do is go to the park. She'll say, Papa, make up some challenges for me. How many of you in business need more challenges? Need more obstacles? Like, raise your hand, like, I want more obstacles. I want more challenge. No, we were like, the G-force is real. Okay, but there's a way to approach the G-force. There's a way to approach that grind. There's a way to approach those challenges and obstacles. And so at this park on this day, I said, okay, honey, here's the challenge. And you'll see this rock wall right here that she's standing on. This apparatus right here actually goes in a complete circle with different elements. The next one, so you got this kind of hybrid monkey bars on steroids right here. And then it goes to a rope section where you have to kind of make your way through the ropes, and it goes to another rock wall and then other obstacles. It goes in a circle. I said, here's what you have to do. Climb one of the rock walls, but as soon as your feet leave the ground, you can't touch the ground again until you make it somehow. Figure out how to make it all the way around this circle without your feet touching the ground. And so she thought about it, climbed up, kind of came up with a strategy, right? How many of you have come up with a business strategy or a marriage strategy or a parenting strategy, and you thought, this is pretty solid, this is pretty good, and then you get going, and it doesn't turn out the way you thought it would, right? Just, right, that's her. So here she goes, right? She makes it here. This is her. She takes the leap. You know, when you start a business, when you're doing something, you're having kids and marriage, you feel like you're taking a leap. Like, oh my gosh, here we go. So she takes this leap and she gets to right here and she loses her grip and falls. And she's like, man, okay. She kind of did one of these. She wiped her sweaty hands off and climbed back up the wall, took the leap again, and got to this spot again and failed again. She fell and she landed on her butt, and I can tell she got a little bit more frustrated. She goes, man, all right, she says, this is harder than I thought it would be. How many of you have ever said that before? This is harder than I thought it would be. She gets back up there, takes the leap again, starts making her way across, makes it to this very spot again. It's about in the middle, and then falls, lands on her butt. Third failure. And she stays on the ground, and I can tell she's kind of thinking, she's kind of contemplating. And then she looks up at me. I didn't say anything. She just looks up at me and she goes, Papa, I don't know if this one's possible. Have you guys been there before? I don't know if I'm going to make it through this one. I don't know if this is actually feasible, possible. I don't see a way out. I don't know if I could do this one. And then I said, honey, I said, think about this for a moment. Here's what I said. Is the obstacle bigger than you, or are you bigger than the obstacle? And she kind of looked at the ground a little bit. Again, I asked her, is the obstacle bigger than you, or are you bigger than the obstacle? And she looked at it. She kind of looked in the circle and she goes, well, now she's 8 years old. Here's what she says. She goes, well, she says, physically, the obstacle is bigger than me. But on the inside, Papa, I'm bigger than that obstacle. My mind is bigger. My mind is stronger. My mind can do this. And I said, okay, well, what are you going to do? She goes, I'm going to do it. And so she got back up on that rock wall, takes the leap again, and goes, I'm bigger. She said, I'm bigger. And then this is the spot where she normally falls. She made it past there, makes it to the rope section and says, peace out, Papa, I got this. And then of course the rest was gravy. That was the hardest part that she had to tackle. But fellas, I want to ask you today, are you bigger than the obstacle? Or are you thinking in your mind that challenge, that obstacle that you're facing is bigger than you? A man his life is going to go in the direction of which he thinks about most. And I want everybody, every man on this call, believing in your heart that you're bigger than the obstacle, then you're bigger than the challenge. However many challenges come your way, however, they're like the ocean waves sometimes. How many of you feel like sometimes challenges come and they're like the ocean waves? They ain't stopping. But I'm here to tell you today that you're bigger, you're stronger. Why? Because you're created in the image of God. You've got God's thumbprints on your heart, on your mind, on your soul, and all things are possible. Sir, it was May 29th, 1953, I believe. Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Mount Everest. First man ever to do it. But he didn't succeed on his first attempt. His first attempt failed. And he was at a speaking engagement. And there was a kind of this banner, this picture of Mount Everest. And in the middle of his speech, he stops and he says this. He says, Mount Everest, you beat me the first time, but I'll beat you the next time because you've grown all you're going to grow. And I'm still growing. Let me ask you, are you guys still growing? Are you guys still growing today? Are you still having a growth mindset? Do you believe everything's figure outable? Do you believe that you can find a way? Like, if we don't know the way, we can find a way. And I want you to see yourselves bigger than anything that this life has to throw at you. I'm here to tell you, and you know this, there are guys out there. There are those men out there who will say, the monkey bar is too high. It's too crooked. My hands are too sweaty. There are men who will say the distance is too far. There will men out there who will say, I'm not strong enough. I can't do it. I'm not big enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. I'm too young, whatever. And they'll make those excuses. And those are the men who are going to say, when they get to the end of their life and they look back, they're going to say, man, I wish I would have went for it. I wish I would have tried. I wish I wouldn't have listened to that voice inside my head who said I wasn't this or I was too that. Because there are men out there, and I believe these men are on this call, that will say, I don't know how to do it, but I believe everything is figure outable. And that obstacle is tall, so I'll go under it. If it's deep, I'll go over it. If it's wide, I'll go through it. Why? Because I'm an unstoppable force for God and for good, and nothing will hold me back. And that's the mindset that you and I need when we have these obstacles. And that's the mindset I want you guys to adopt and to have.